I remember one of my lecturers making a statement like, you can't really succeed in this field. And he made a statement like, you're never going to succeed in this field if you're... I remember going home and feeling so bad for somebody who, I've always tried to be the best. And it was some sort of a challenge for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it well. The data science or data in general in Cameroon is still developing. We are not there yet, I must say that. So there is a huge opportunity for a career in data science in Cameroon. It's just at its early stage. What you have to do is build the skills, show value, the value you bring to the business by, working on projects. I have a lot of projects in my portfolio where if I go to a business, I can actually show you like, okay, this is how I can show how your clients are churning. I can, show you how to retain your clients, how to, grow your revenue using data science.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another amazing episode of Hear Her Voice. On today's episode, we have an amazing guest with us. We have a data and fintech professional. So today's conversation is going to be quite different from the other episodes that you have been watching on this platform. So if this is something which is going to be of interest to you, please, I want you to settle in because today's conversation is going to be very, very edifying. Hear Her Voice is that platform where we bring women to share their stories, their hard work, their resilience, and the goal is to inspire other young women and men who want to learn one or two. So I'm going to allow our guest for today to introduce herself and we're going to get right into this discussion.
Hi Lauren.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very okay, thank you. And you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very, very excited. In fact, I'm so happy to have you on Hear Her Voice today.
It's such an honor for me to be on Hear Her Voice. I've watched the other episodes and it's really interesting. So I'm so happy to be here to share my story and anything that I can contribute to, edifying other people.
Amazing. So I just want to tell my audience that when I was starting Hear Her Voice, you were one of the people that I had in mind, like, okay, she's going to be my guest because of our history. I met you during, a fintech event and we just connected. We were just talk. The conversation was so smooth and I got to learn more about you. And then during my time as a communications director at COA, I had reached out to you also, for you to share your stories. I was like, as I'm starting this podcast, you are one of the first people that I'm going to get.
Here we are today.
So it's just so amazing. So please go ahead and introduce yourself and officially tell the audience what you do for a living.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lauren. Hi everyone. It's such an honor for me to be on Hear Her Voice today. My name is Lum-Neh Angela. Like Lauren said, I'm a data and fintech professional. My experience spanned the field of data science, startup operations and strategy, as well as entrepreneurship. And over the years, I've had to work in several roles, both as a data scientist and also recently, the most recent role was as the co-CEO of Potolo, which is an on-demand platform here in Cameroon where you can order for anything and get it delivered to you. My experiences are mostly around, using technology to, solve the problems around us, to build platforms that would, ensure that it makes life easier for the average African or Cameroonian. And as we go along the way, I think I'm going to share more about these experiences, but briefly, that's who Angela is. Apart from work, I also try to, do a lot of mentoring and activities that help in promoting women in tech and also like building a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. So you would see me attending events or organizing events, mentoring young girls who want to get into tech and all of that. So those are some of the things I do out of my normal role or career profile.
Okay, amazing. So, what made you choose this path of becoming like a data scientist or in fact, how did you get into
Into
STEM?
tech, yeah.
Let's put it like that.
My story is a very long and unique one, but I think I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'll give a summary of it. So I remember growing up and thinking, like everybody, you know, when family and friends just think that, okay, you're going to be a medical doctor because probably maybe you're smart. Or for example, in my case, I loved kids so much. So in my mind, growing up, it was like, okay, I was going to become a pediatrician. That was a whole idea. And that was also what my family thought, like she was going to get into medical school after her A levels. So after A levels, I wrote Qs and FHS back then, the concourse you had to write to get into. I didn't even bother writing the polytechs and all of that because for me it was certain that I was going to get into. Unfortunately, I failed both concourse. By the way, the first time I was failing an exam in my life, and it was very traumatizing and shocking to see that, okay, this career that I had thought was my path, I wasn't going to get into it. I remember my brother telling me, okay, you should apply to uni because concourse in Cameroon are not the setting. I'm like, why should I apply? I'm going to get, and even if I don't get Qs, I mean, FHS, I'll definitely get it. So unfortunately, that didn't succeed, but shout out to my brother who had applied for me to go to the engineering school in Boya. So he submitted the documents without my approval. He just went ahead and applied for me to study software engineering in UB because I just enjoyed working with laptops back then. So that's how I found myself in a software engineering class in UB. The first year was quite tough because I didn't really know what I wanted, if that was actually, you know, the path I should take and all of that. But one thing that kind of changed my mindset or directed me towards the path in tech was I remember one of my lecturers making a statement like, you can't really succeed in this field. And for me, I don't like challenges. So for a teacher or a lecturer to tell you like, okay, you're not good at this or you can't succeed in this, I went
he
home.
Told you.
Yeah.
What triggered him to say that?
I don't know. Maybe because back then I was still finding my way. So there are a lot of things that I didn't know. You get. Probably I wasn't doing well in my programming modules or all of that. But I don't think he understood what was happening behind the scenes. I was just trying to find my way. And he made a statement like, you're never going to succeed in this field. I remember going home and feeling so bad for somebody who, you know, I've always tried to be the best. And somebody telling me you can't do this, more of that, a teacher, a lecturer. And it was some sort of a challenge for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it well. So I had to really sit down and think of what do I want to gain out of this. I started doing research on what is really this tech field that, you know, somebody is telling me that I can't succeed in it. And while doing this research, I came across a few women. Back then, we had Rebecca Enonchong. There was the lady from World Foundation. She's a Nigerian. I've forgotten her name. Those were the two people who, you know, kind of inspired me to actually devote my time and energy to build a career in STEM. So I saw their profile. They were doing amazing. They had started businesses that were profitable. They were inspiring more girls to, you know, get into tech. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to prove this teacher wrong. And that is how I made the decision to forget about my medical career and focus on building a career in tech.
But I mean, you've had such a journey, like from leaving from university. When one goes through your profile, your LinkedIn, and I'm like, gosh, you've had so many opportunities. How did you grab all of these opportunities? Because I guess after graduating, you had an opportunity to work immediately. In fact, how was your career path? Yes, from that, you know.
That's a very interesting question. So my career path has been a long one up to where I am today. I did my engineering program in UB was 4 years. I remember doing 3 years and sitting and asking myself like, okay, I'm graduating next year. Do I have the skills and the competency that makes me, you know, employable in the market? And the answer was no for me. And mainly, I don't blame the system. I blame myself, because the first year I didn't really pay attention to, the basics of my programming modules and all of that. So when I got to the third year, I felt like I wasn't equipped enough to be employable or to contribute to, the tech world.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start all over. And I was looking for opportunities abroad. I wanted a different system to build now I was certain I wanted to be in tech, but then I had to start from scratch. And so I started sorting out or searching for scholarships. And that's how I got a scholarship to study at the African Leadership University in Mauritius. And I had to start all over. So I started my bachelor's degree in computing from scratch. I don't regret that, because it was such an amazing experience. And I think I owe it to the African Leadership University for that, because from then I was able to build an amazing career in tech. I got so many opportunities to intern with amazing companies in South Africa, in different African countries, and even got awards from Google and all the light from that opportunity. But what I would say is I moved to Mauritius to study for my undergraduate degree. And while I was studying there, I had the opportunity to, tailor my career towards data science, because I was definitely taking a general certificate in computer science. Computer science is broad. There's a lot you could learn in computer science. But I identified that I was more interested in data just by reading a lot of tech blogs, trying to understand the tech sector and where I belong. I noticed that I was always drawn to data science. And what drew me to data science was, okay, there's so much about data that the ordinary person cannot tell. You can look at data of a company, of a business, and tell them what exactly is happening with the business. So I was amazed by how much insights you can get from looking at data if you are, versed with the tools. And I decided to now tailor my career towards data science. And that's how I got opportunities during my undergraduate degree to, intern at different firms as a data scientist. So by the time I was finishing my undergraduate degree, I'd already built a profile as a data scientist. And subsequently, I got hired as a data scientist in different roles. After a couple of years working as a data scientist, I decided to, go back to the master's degree. And the principal goal was to, broaden my my network, in terms of like that was the main idea of going to do a master's degree, broaden my network in a foreign country, and also to specialize, because data science is broad. You can be a data scientist for, you can be in healthcare, in finance, it's broad. So I wanted to kind of tailor it towards fintech, which happens to be another of my interest or passion fields. So I went to do a master's degree focused on data science in fintech. And that was how I was also able to now connect both the data science aspect of my career with fintech. So I became more as an expert in fintech or data science in fintech. That's how I now switched to, where I am today.
You are a Cameroonian who has had the opportunity to work with foreign companies, and you've also you've worked with companies here in Cameroon, right?
Definitely.
Yes. So being a data scientist in Cameroon is so very audacious. You have had to who employ you, because people are always working people will always call numbers, 10%, 20%, but most times will always depend on, okay, what's the difference between you and a researcher? Because researchers do that too, right? I mean academic scholars.
Academic scholars do that, but a lot of what they do is data analysis, which is more of reporting. So let me give a brief. There's the data analyst or a research analyst, right? And your role is to use data to, report mainly on past events. So for example, you work in let's say a bank. From the bank's data, you can tell them that, okay, this is how much revenue you made in this month. This is where, you're just reporting. Now, a data scientist goes beyond reporting. You can actually predict. Or you can actually, tell the firm that this is the way to go. You're not just reporting, but you're giving them the way forward. So it's predicting or forecasting. And you mentioned like, okay, what's it like being
A data scientist in Cameroon, or how you advise a young person to thrive in this economy as a data scientist?
To be honest, the data science or data in general in Cameroon is still developing. We are not there yet, I must say that. And I'll share a bit of an permit me. I like to tell stories because it's all part of. In 2020, when I've always wanted to build a business in Cameroon. So I was in the UK and I'm like, you know what? I should come to Cameroon and build a data science company. And because I had just finished my master's in fintech, which I'd worked on a project on credit scoring, which Cameroon happens back then. In fact, they're still trying to build that. We didn't have a credit scoring system in Cameroon. I was like, you know what? I should do that for Cameroon. I packed my bags, came to Cameroon, and behold, I was so shocked. The reality on ground is different because the microfinances I was working with, or, everybody still records everything on paper. So I'm coming here to build a credit scoring model that needs the data to be on a digital platform, even on the cloud. And none of that is available. So the infrastructure is not there yet. And that's the first thing a data scientist in Cameroon faces. The infrastructure is not there yet. The businesses themselves don't understand the value of data or what a data scientist could bring on board. And also, the market is not yet there, but that's not to discourage, upcoming data scientists. Or what I could tell you is Cameroon is fast evolving. They are the bigger businesses like the banks, most especially the banks. They currently have roles open for business analysts, which is some sort of data science. Data scientists, it's coming up. We're seeing of recent businesses are trying to, really understand how to make use of their data, gain insights. And that's where the professionals come in. So if you're interested or you're beginning your career in data science, it's not to feel discouraged that the market is still at its early stages. I will tell you that it's for you to build the important skills that you need as a data science. And what are those skills? You need to be good at Python, SQL, machine learning, even just data engineering, because probably you'd have to help the businesses even structure their data, start from designing how their databases are going to look like. How do they collect this data? How do they store the data before you start analyzing it? So there is a huge opportunity for a career in data science in Cameroon. It's just at its early stage. What you have to do is build the skills, show value, the value you bring to the business by, working on projects. I have a lot of projects in my portfolio where if I go to a business, I can actually show you like, okay, this is how I can show how your clients are churning. I can, show you how to retain your clients, how to, grow your revenue using data science. If you have that skill or that expertise and you show a business that this is what I can do for you, I want to believe that a lot of the businesses are going to want to, not everybody, but they would be willing to, try out your skills. So the market is still in its early stages, but it's definitely an opportunity for us to bring our skills, build the ecosystem, show the businesses what they can gain from. It's not going to be an easy ride, but we can do it.
You founded 2 startups, and I just want to know if those startups are still running. And what was your experience running those startups versus working on projects with other people?
I have founded 2 startups before. One was Opportunity Space, like many years. That was around the 2018s, 19s, when I was still a student. It was basically a mobile app to help students gain scholarship opportunities worldwide. And later on, after my master's degree, I founded Stay Analytics, which is data analytics or data science as a service company. Opportunity Space is no longer existent. Over time, we've had to, but Stay Analytics is still a project that we continue to build. It's not out there because what we are trying to build is a credit scoring model for the Cameroonian market or the African market. And that definitely takes time because, like I said, you have to collect the data and all of that. my experience from building a startup and working in corporate has been two different, experiences. Building a startup, first of all, in Cameroon, especially a tech startup, is very, very demanding. Demanding in terms of your time, your energy, your efforts, the resources you put into place. And take for example, Stay Analytics, which was still a very new field or domain in Cameroon, I faced a lot of challenges. Be it, there were regulatory challenges. You have to talk to the financial people in the financial sector, the microfinances, the banks. It wasn't easy to, get an, how do I put, a yes from these guys, because you have to prove yourself first of all.
Or they don't just get it.
Yeah, they don't understand this, or sometimes it's the infrastructure. So it's really difficult building a tech startup in Cameroon because of the infrastructure, the understanding of the market, and even the people you're building for. It's not a ripe market or a matured market where people are already versed with some of these tools. I'll take, for example, in my recent role as the co-CEO of Potolo, we had a mobile app, or we have a mobile app in the market. The average Cameroonian doesn't go on an app to order something.
Yes.
So you have to do a lot of education, awareness. You have to spend probably the first 2 years just educating people how to use the product. So if you're building a technology driven app or tool or platform in Cameroon, there's that aspect of it that is about educating the market. So if you're coming on board thinking that in 1, 2 years or 3 years I'm going to be profitable, that's not going to be the case. You have to spend time understanding the market. First of all, what is it that the market needs? How does the average Cameroonian consumer or business operate? What value am I bringing to them? How do I sell this value to them in a convincing way? And how do I educate them to even see that the value I'm bringing is going to help their business or help their personal life?
Yeah.
So there's that slow growth. Like the normal startup curve is you begin and you grow.
Yeah.
It's different in Cameroon. It's quite slow. And as an entrepreneur, you might get discouraged. It might be you're burning cash trying to build this thing and it's going slow.
Yeah.
For investors, it doesn't look good. For you, it doesn't look good. But you have to understand that that is the market, and you have to spend those initial years just trying to understand the market and your consumers. I think that's the different path I didn't see as an entrepreneur or trying to build a startup in Cameroon. Now, in terms of being an employee, it's quite different because you are on the other side of just taking instructions, right? You go as you can. If it's slow, it's slow. You don't really feel that pressure on getting things to work as fast as you want. So you work at the pace of the company. If it's a fast growing company, you become fast growing there. If it's a slow growing company, you go at that pace. You don't feel the pressure. But on the other side, as an entrepreneur, you have that pressure to want to make things happen. You have that pressure to prove yourself in the market. You have that pressure to build something that is sustainable and
Okay, how would you compare your career experience abroad and here in Cameroon?
Good question. Very good question. The markets have different realities, right? The market take for example, the UK where I was is a very structured market. Businesses are more organized. It's a matured market in terms of the tech sector, you know. So building an application or a system in there is easier. It's fast. But in Cameroon, it's a bit slower, like I was saying, because our market is less structured first. The tech sector here is still developing, though growing at a fast pace. I must say it's still developing. So the challenges we have here are quite different from the challenges I would have, say, in the US, in the UK, or in Mauritius where I was. I would go back to building an application in Cameroon. You would expect that once you launch, you spread the news, users will flood it, and it's quite different. In Cameroon, it's really different. You have to build a lot of trust with the users. So you will start with a small segment of the users and try to build trust with that small segment, and they become your ambassadors or your advocates in the market. So it's a something I had to learn on the ground, coming from that side where you build something, you do your publicity, it goes viral, people are using it, you're excelling. That doesn't happen in Cameroon that way. You have to slowly build your customer base. You have to be patient with yourself and with the market. So take time to understand what the Cameroonian user actually wants.
Yes.
How do they shop? How do they buy? How do they interact with businesses? What sells in the market in the first place? What influences their buying power? How do they pay? In Cameroon, it's a cash-based economy. So if you come with a tool that is, online payments,
It'll be tough.
it's tough. People don't trust that I can actually go on an app, pay with my money and receive it. So you have to now understand that, okay, there's a trust aspect of this. How do you get these businesses to, or these customers to trust you? You have to look for there are different strategies that you have to put in place to build your trust in the market. So the ecosystems are quite different.
Yeah.
And over time, I've had to learn the uniqueness of Cameroon, which I'm very grateful, having spent almost like the last 3 years just trying to understand the market. The idea is that the market here is less structured, based on trust and relationships rather than, your business profile. Is more on trust and relationships, and it's a cash-based economy. How you deal with such the strategies you use in going into the market in this market will not work in the UK or in another developed country. So you have to build strategies that are tailored to this market. That's what I've learned. One thing Yango has proven to us is that it can be done. You get. It might have taken Yango a couple of years to get there, but one thing they've shown us in the market is you can actually build an app in Cameroon and people use it. Yango has proven that.
Yeah.
But it's taken quite a couple of years for people to actually adopt it as a lifestyle. So if you're going to build, if you're coming from abroad or wherever, even if you're based in Cameroon and you're building a tool, a digital tool or an app for Cameroonians, the first thing is spend time understanding the market. Even if you're a Cameroonian and you live in Cameroon and you feel like you know the market, you don't know the market. The market is going to shock you. So you want to spend time understanding the particular segment of users you're building for. In this case, we talked about, let's say, a fintech app, or you're building a money management tool, let's put it that way. You want to understand what drives the Cameroonian, like an average Cameroonian. How do they manage their money? How do they use their money? We have already talked about us being a cash-based economy, right? What would you do to get a user to actually use your tool? The first thing is the Cameroonian consumer is influenced a lot by what they see, or like the people they look up to, influencers.
Yeah.
Especially the French market. So if you're going to get into the market, one of the things you're looking at is the influencers you're going to have to work with, because they believe so much in these guys in such a way that if they see X person using this app and it's working well, they're like, okay, if this person can use this app, why not me? You get. They are being influenced by the people they look up to. They have some celebrities they believe so much in. And if you're able to use those people to, drive their adoption in market, it's a good thing. It's not a problem. There's an aspect too of, trust, like we said. You don't want to have the first few users or your early adopters, as we say, having bad experiences, because we also, as entrepreneurs, we are fond of building apps that don't work, or people have a lot of challenges when they come on board to use our applications. You want to ensure that your app is seamless, it's easy to use. The average Cameroonian can easily get around with it. You don't want to build an app and you're saying that, no, it's for, you need to be tech savvy. The average Cameroonian is not tech savvy. So you want to ensure that the app is user friendly, the user experience is swift and smooth. People should not have problems trying to pay and all of that. Once your early adopters have those challenges, it spreads like word of mouth. Like it just suffices for one person to tell the friend that, this app, I tried using it and I had this.
Yeah. And that's it.
That one person is going to tell 10 other people, and your reputation is already down the line. So you want to ensure that whatever you're building is good enough for the market, that your early adopters can actually go and be like, you know what, I tested this app today. It was amazing. The experience was, swift and all of that. that one person telling the next person, that's what we call word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's how you build your referral network in Cameroon, which is what we say, why we say trust and relationships is very important, because that's how you start getting your users. It's not about ads. It's not about running ads on social media.
Being
Or
influencers.
no. That's not necessarily how you build your customer base in Cameroon. You want to first of all ensure that the product or service you're offering, the application itself, is good enough. Once the few people who get on board test it and use it and see that it's really working well, that's how they talk to more people. And by the time you know it, more people are using it and it's working. So you need to understand the struggles of the market. You need to build something that's easy and sweet for the market to use. You need to ensure that your service is good, very good. Customer service is also another aspect I would really like to touch on. We are fond of, building apps, and it's online there. Somebody downloads, has an issue, tries to get you to your customer service, and you're unreachable. The person is stuck with an app, they don't even know how to use it. You want to have a very how do I say, excellent customer service available probably 24/7 for any problem that a user might encounter. Once somebody has a problem on an app and they're able to reach out to your customer service and you solve their problem, that's to say that, okay, you're truly in business. If I use an app in Cameroon and I can't get to your business for them to resolve whatever issue, because problems will arise. Let's be clear on that. It just shows that you're not serious, you're not in business. If you want the average Cameroonian to really buy into your product, that relationship should be there between the business and the consumer, and that's where your customer service comes into place. If I have the trust that if I put my money here and whenever there's an issue, I can always reach out to you and get to your customer service, you're available, then it takes away that fear of, okay, these guys are just, I can't even see them. What if they run away with my money or something? So those are like the tiny strategies that you can put in place to differentiate yourself from all the apps that are in the market and all of that. That's how you build trust in the market. And with time, you're going to build your position, or more customers. You see your customer base growing. It takes time, but the early stages is building trust, relationships, and making your platform effortless for the user.
I hope that future entrepreneurs or people who are running startups have listened and they are going to apply it into whatever they are starting, because every day we have something new coming up. All right, so just two more questions.
Sure.
So I just want to find out, I know you've mentioned Rebecca Inonchong and your brother who registered yes, who got you into engineering school, but who are some people that have inspired your journey? Like people that you're really grateful for?
Okay. I think most often when this question is asked, we tend to look very far and we forget about the people while we're growing up. For me, the first inspiration is my mom. My mom was she's not a tech person, she's not into tech, but she's very ethical. She's a very hardworking lady. And I think that's where my thrive to work hard, or the bulldozer that I am, I want to think so.
Yes,
comes
you are.
From. My mom has always been that person who worked so hard, to make sure that her kids had the best she could afford. And I think from looking at how she was able to raise us with whatever she had, it was like, okay, if my mom, who didn't know a lot, was able to do all of this, how about me, who now knows more? So I tend to work a lot harder, or I want to work a lot harder than she did. And I think that's where my inspiration of doing all of the things I do come from. Now coming into tech, and two people that have really inspired my journey over the years. Earlier on, it was Rebecca Inonchong. Like, I always talk about it, because my early days, when I was looking at who are the women, I think I missed this part in my story. When I went to UB, in my class of about 60 students, we were just about 8 girls. And so it was so shocking, like, why are we only 8 girls? Like, what's happening? I never really understood. So I started doing my research, and that's where I came across women who were excelling in tech, and that's where Rebecca came into place. She's the CEO of Appstech. She's an angel investor, and she has a reputable career in tech in Cameroon and Africa in general. And I was just so amazed by how much she's done in, profiling herself as a woman in tech across the world, not just Africa. And I told myself I wanted to be, that kind of a woman.
Yeah.
And that's one person whose career journey inspired me. And over the years, as I grew in the tech space, I also have Sherry Sandberg. She's been the chief operating officer of Facebook, or the Meta platforms in general. And also the founder of a foundation called Lean In, or an organization called Lean In, basically advocating for more women in boardrooms, taking up executive roles and all of that. And having read her books and followed her on her different platforms, I've just been inspired how she's been able to prove herself in the tech world, living from a technical career to an executive career. And that's something I personally want for myself. So I've been following her career journey on how do you live from, being a technical person to an executive. I read her books to, learn all the strategies she used. How do you manage a board?
Yeah.
And all of that. So Sherry Sandberg has really been the recent lady that has been inspiring my journey, and how do I, build the next phase of my career in tech.
Yeah, so since you've mentioned, while you were just talking about the people who've inspired you, you mentioned the fact that you guys were just 8 of you in a class of about 60. And this is something that I'm conscious about. I know that there are always less women in STEM fields, and I don't really want us to go there.
Yeah, I know.
But let's just take it lightly. What is your experience as a woman in STEM? Do you think you didn't have enough opportunities because you're a woman? Because I personally think that anything that you put your mind to, you have it. And for someone like you have such a reputation, and everything that you've had is because of your hard work. Do you think that there were some biases, or you will have had more?
Definitely there are biases. Let's be clear.
Really?
Yes, there are. And I'll share a few experiences. But sometimes the bias comes from us ourselves. You get. I'll take, for example, when I got, like I said, in UB, we were just 6 girls and, maybe or 8 girls and maybe like 52 guys.
Yes.
It's not because the school stopped us from applying. It's not because, I don't know, let's say the institution did not admit a lot of girls, but probably a lot of girls did not even know that that's a field they could pursue.
Yeah.
So that's us limiting ourselves. And the bias comes from family. It starts from the family to society. Then you yourself, you now embody that bias, and you're like, okay, I can't do this and all of that. I have had instances where the people have, there's a bias in, somebody's like my teacher telling me you can't do it. I don't remember him saying that to any guy in the class, like, you can't do this. But how personally, I've always known that I take challenges very seriously. If you, like what the teacher said, for me, it was a challenge. It wasn't for me to now push back or shrink and be like, no, because the teacher said I can't do this, I can't actually do it. For me, it's like, what's there that makes it impossible for me to do? You get. So I've always used the bias or the stereotypes in my own, should I say, in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that is how I found myself navigating this career. There are examples also, like I would say I once went for an interview in Mauritius for, I think it was a data science role, and it was myself and a male classmate, and I remember being that person. Not that I'm blowing my own trumpet, but if you came to school back then and you were like, okay, who is the data scientist? Probably people would call me, right? And we went for this interview, 2 of us. I don't remember this, my classmate being really great at it. He was good with software engineering. He wasn't probably a good data scientist. My apologies for saying that. But when we went to this interview, I heard him sell himself after what I had said. And he appeared to be the better person for that role, you get. And so what I'm saying is, sometimes the bias is on us. Like how we sell ourselves, how we present ourselves. And if somebody was to be hired in that, space, he was going to be hired because of the way he sold himself, regardless of the fact that he wasn't really into data science like I was, but he knew how to present himself, how to sell himself. And it just happens that the males are more confident and they are that way when it comes to selling themselves. And over time, I've had to learn that, because the bias is sometimes it's on us. So you have to learn to take away that bias, sell yourself, take away that imposter syndrome, present yourself. You're good at this thing, so sell yourself. And like I would always tell my friends, I don't really feel that there is there is a bias in terms of the companies placing on us. There's always the bias from us ourselves. So if you're able to overcome that, I think you excel in the STEM field, like I think I am doing. However, what I would say to like maybe like society in general, or parents or young girls who want to get into STEM, and now I'm talking to your audience, like there's going to always be some bias, but you as a person, you have to tell yourself that you can do this. There's nothing that makes you different from the guy in class who is studying. You both are studying maths, and there's nothing that makes him better in maths than you.
That's true.
So you just have to put in the work. It's a lot of work, and you have to tell yourself that, okay, I'm going to make this effort to put in the work, to work as hard or even harder than the guys, to be able to attain that level in which you can stand at a hiring panel and get the job better than do better than a guy. And so there is nothing stopping you. There is no how do I say, limiting factor. Don't feel like, oh, you're not good enough in math, or you don't have some people say women are weaker. I don't even understand what they mean by that. Intellectually, you're not weaker. You can, if you put your mind to learn whatever is there to learn, you can actually thrive in tech. And there are so many women. We're slowly seeing a shift in, the 10 years ago, there were fewer women in tech. That is completely changing. If you want to look at there are so many girls who are doing amazing work when it comes to software engineering, cyber security, fintech, data science. You look up to these people. Don't limit yourself and say that, no, I'm not good at it. No, you can do whatever you set your mind to do. I want young girls to have that mentality and not feel like, okay, I'm not good at math, I can't do this. Nah, that's not what we.
What was Angela looking forward to in the next, years to come? Yes.
That's a very interesting question, because that's what I've spent the whole of January and probably February trying to
figure out.
Like I said, I recently left my job as the co-CEO of Potolo. And so I'm trying to be deliberate about what I do moving forward. There's the entrepreneurship path where I have Analytics, this whole big project I really want to implement. But I also have questions on if this is the right time for me to go full time on that. So I'm not shy to say that I'm going through a transition. To actually figure out what the next phase of my career could be. It could be, continue to build tech startups across Africa. It could be building my own tech startup, because when I talk about it, could be getting hired to build tech startup across Africa. But definitely roles that would cut across data, fintech, and just building digital platforms. That is where I'm going to my career is going to revolve around. I don't know exactly what I'm doing next. I'm giving myself the first quarter of this year to figure out, strategize, even rebuild my portfolio, and figure out what exactly I want. So that's it.
Well, Angela, we've had a very, in-depth discussion, even though there is even more to be said. There is more. And I really wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
I wish that you get to work with, other fintechs that, are seeing things the way you're seeing it, that can catch your vision, and that will actually see your value or the value that you bring to the company or to the startup. And I also hope that Analytics is going to be something that you can work on. Yes, I really hope that it becomes. I mean, you've been talking about Analytics since I think it's since 2020. Around the Corona period. Yes, I think that was one of the things.
Remember?
That was one of the things that that was the main thing that you mentioned when we were profiling you for COA. Yes, so I really hope that in the next 5 years you're going to be a great woman in big platforms.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's my prayer, and that's my wish for everyone that comes on here, Her Voice. Because in 5 years' time, I'll look for all of you guys again.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. There's a lot to unpack. We've tried to summarize, but I hope that the little insights we've shared inspires anyone who is watching, hear her voice, and I
Yes.
look forward to connecting with you all on different platforms. But thank you so much for having me, and you're doing an amazing job with your platform.
Thank you.
Continue to tell the stories of amazing African women. Continue to inspire the younger generation, and like you said, in 5 years to come,
Yes.
you would see the ripple effect that this is going to have.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for being with us throughout this video. I know you've learned one or two, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.